Perfection. I can't even talk. See, perfection. Maybe we don't have podcasts this late in the day anymore, Dana. I think that is I think this is a good blooper, but I think we need to maybe have podcasts earlier in the morning before my
I don't know.
brain is
Yesterday
already
ours was at
tapped out.
9:30 and I
Huh?
couldn't talk.
I know. I'm like, I think they need to be before 1.
There
Anyway,
you
all right,
go.
that's awesome. Okay.
We'll
Okay.
make it. We'll figure it out.
No, it'll be fun. Uh-huh. I just want to laugh at this already. This is why we don't do perfectionism. Have you ever hit a moment where success wasn't enough? Where the weight of your past and the scars no one sees, or the doubts you don't dare voice, keep you from breaking through to the life you know you're capable of? Maybe on the outside, you've achieved more than most, but inside, there's still something holding you back. If that hits home, take a breath. You found your people. You found your tribe. Welcome to That Shit Does Not Define You, Stories of Hope. I'm Athena Captain, joined by my co-host, Jada Haycraft. This isn't just another podcast, friends. It's a space to strip away the labels, the shame, and the invisible barrier standing between you and your next chapter in life.
In every episode, we'll bring you raw, real stories of resilience, people who have rewritten their lives, and give you the strategies and tools to do the same. Whether you're climbing out of rock bottom or breaking through to your next level, your future starts here. Let's get started.
So perfectionism looks shiny, you guys, on the outside. You know, that clean house, your work is flawless, your smile is flawless, your outfit is flawless. You got it all together. But here's the secret. Perfection isn't about excellence, believe it or not. It's about fear. Fear of being not good enough. Fear of letting people down, feeling out of control. It's not about perfectionism. It's about hiding. And today we want to talk about how perfectionism isn't protecting you. It's paralyzing you. It's robbing you of joy, connection, and peace. And today we get to talk about how you break free from that. So if you are dealing with perfectionism, by the way, a lot of us do. If you are, or if you feel like you're out of control and you just don't know how to make it stop, today you want to be here because we are going to have an awesome session today with an amazing woman. I can't wait for you to meet her. And she's going to talk about how she broke through, and we're going to be here to help you. Obviously, we'll have some science. We're going to have some rubber meets the road. But wow, I can't wait for this interview. So I'm so excited for our guest today. And Jada, please tell people who she is. I'll tell everybody a little bit of fun after we do the technical bio, and I'm going to have a little fun with how I know her. So who's our
Awesome.
guest?
Well, yes, I'm very excited to announce that we have Crystal Oakes on our podcast. Crystal is the founder and lead creative of Oakes Creative House, where she helps entrepreneurs and nonprofits cut through the noise with clear, actionable marketing strategies. Known for her five-phase, wow, words are hard. We're on a perfectionism podcast, so known for her 5-phase marketing framework, Crystal combines creativity and strategy to give small businesses a roadmap that they can actually use. With a background spanning branding, design, photography, and global brand management across 22 countries. Wow, let's just stop there. Holy cow. She brings big picture expertise with a passion for making marketing approachable. Based in Oklahoma, Crystal and her team partner with clients to build lasting foundations while helping them dream bigger. So welcome, Crystal. We are so excited and honored to have you on our podcast today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Well, I'm so excited. Hey, you guys, I have to tell you. So when we started, we had the best blooper because we're talking about perfectionism, and Athena couldn't even say the word perfection at the very beginning. So talk about a great blooper. I don't know how we add that in, but that was awesome. But I also want to tell you guys, I'm really excited to say this. So Crystal, I am one of her clients. So we've gotten to be able to take advantage of her expertise. And I'm so excited. If you follow me at all, you're going to be able to in a couple of months look up and see, boom, her magic, because we have redone my logo. It's quite amazing, exciting, very out of the box, nothing that I would have chosen, which is beautiful because it represents me and represents the brand very well, and I would have never picked it. So her talent to be able to do that is just amazing. So I know we're not talking about perfectionism, but she nailed it on the logo for sure.
There are parts of perfectionism that will help you in life.
Well, I just love obviously, that came from creativity and, your expertise, of course, but thank you so much. I know today we wanna help, our listeners. This entire series is talking about how we overcome addiction. Crystal, how do we those things that are we're going to numb, right? The things that we're hiding behind, the things that are stopping us from reaching our true potential or robbing us of peace and joy. And we want to talk through with people, tell them stories to help them see one, they're not alone. There is hope, and share your wisdom with them. So thank you so much for being vulnerable and being here today. I know that as a woman in business, vulnerability sometimes can get us, but I really appreciate you. And I think it makes you even that better of a creative that you are vulnerable. So I love it. So awesome. All right. Well, I want to start with you've been open with me about your struggles with being a perfectionism or a perfectionist with professional perfectionism. Athena can't talk. Can you take me back to a moment you realized that perfection wasn't protecting you, that it was actually holding you hostage?
Yeah, I think I have a couple of moments that come to mind when I think of this. I think the first like major turning point being when I left my corporate career and
Mhm.
I ended up thinking that it was that environment or that high paid culture that was causing me to be so ill. I think that I had these moments where then when I started my business and I went right back down the same road, that I thought, okay, this isn't maybe that environment, maybe it's me. Like maybe I'm the one who's causing some of this stress and chronic anxiety and chronic pain within my own body and my nervous system being so out of whack because I keep falling back into these tendencies of overworking, of, just ignoring everything except for my work, like only doing the things that really brought me that box to check or that accolade to carry. But I think also the other thing that came to mind whenever you asked this question was all the way back to childhood for me. So
Yeah.
perfectionism for me stems really deep. And it came into my life very, very young. And I will always remember, I remember what I was wearing. I remember where I was standing. Like it's one of those moments. Standing in our backyard, I was in FFA. I raised pigs and sheep and very different than the person that I am now. But I remember I was like walking out to the barn while my dad was walking back to the house and we were meeting each other like in the yard. And I remember I was like running so fast because I like had to go, I don't know, feed the pig or get the thing or do the whatever. And I was like, I got to run to the school to do this thing next. And then can you drop me off at so and so's house? And I had this whole agenda that I was going on. And I was like, and then I have to stay up all night and study. And I remember my dad looking at me going, I was like junior high. And I remember him looking at me saying, "Who's the teacher?" And I was like, "What are you talking about?" And he was like, "No, like, who's the teacher that's putting this much pressure on you? I need to know who it is." And my dad was law enforcement for 30 years. So he's very protective. But he's like, who do I need to go talk to? Because obviously you're feeling all this pressure to like be a straight A student and join all these organizations and do all these things. And, who do I need to go talk to? And I said, "It's me." I said, "Nobody's pressuring me. I couldn't give you a name of a person who's pressuring me right now. It's me. I'm putting that level of pressure on myself." And I feel like I felt that from a very young age. I can't talk either, a very young age. And it's kind of carried with me through all stages of life where I have to then recognize that perfectionism tendency again or that overwork. I feel like those two things like workaholism and perfectionism go really hand in hand for a lot
Mhm.
of especially entrepreneurs and I have to like recognize it again at every stage, but it really did start so early for me.
Where do you think it came from? I mean, do you think there was a moment that you felt like I have to measure up? Do you think you were born that way?
Mhm.
And where do you think it came from? I love, by the way, thank you for being vulnerable to tell us when you identified it and how brave of you and smart of you to identify it at that age. I mean, that's amazing. But where do you think you were born with it or where did it come from?
I've always kind of thought that some of it was, I mean, a product of inner child, a product
Yeah.
of kind of your raising. I think sometimes people, see the life that they're raised in, the household that they're raised in, and they think, okay, this is it for me. I think other people look at that and go, this is good, but. I want this. And I think that was me. We had a great life. My dad was in law enforcement. They didn't make a ton of money. So there was obviously like some, I want to do this, but we can't. We had food on the table and all those kind of things. But at the same time, there was some limitations. And I think at a really early age, I started to identify those things. Some of it was financial limitations for me. Some of it was even like academic limitations for me. I was the first person in my family to attend college. So that was a really big deal for me to be able to even at that junior high age, right? I have to make straight A's so I can get scholarships because I don't want to be in student loan debt. Like I knew all of this so early. So I think some of it is that. But now that I've had my son, so I have a 2.5 year old, and I watch him, and there is so much of me in him. There's so much. He is a perfectionist. He is very OCD about a lot of things. I also want to bring up OCD for a second because I am diagnosed OCD. And I feel like a lot of people throw OCD around like, oh, yeah, I clean my house a lot. I'm OCD. That's not always how it manifests in people. And there is a difference between having like an actual, diagnosis of OCD versus like you kind of have that tendency sometimes. And so I see it in my son. He has to have his shoes and socks put on in a certain way at 2 or he's freaking
Mhm.
out. He lines up a lot of things. He asks the same question over and over so that he can memorize the answer. There's a lot of routine in kind of who he is intrinsically, and it makes me wonder if some of that started a lot earlier for me and was unnoticed at that time.
Wow, that great awareness as a mom. I mean, and that now because you have done the work, you are aware what a beautiful journey he's going to get to be on, to be raised with somebody who understands the diagnosis of OCD and also this perfectionism and how it could bleed into.
Yeah,
That's great for him.
it makes
I'm
a big
excited for him.
I'm excited for him too. And, even the work that my husband and I have done together over the last
Mhm.
10 years of our marriage and in therapy and having deep conversations. And, it's also helped him to realize we have an interesting household because my husband is ADHD and I'm OCD. So we have a lot of differing opinions about just how we kind of like run our everyday life.
Mhm.
And he recognizes a lot of me in Grayson. And he has a lot of patience with him because of that, because he's like, it's not just a quirk that we're having today. Like, this is probably a lot of who he is. And probably a lot of who I have been my entire life too. So I think like some of the perfectionism, I love how you were talking about it being a protection. And I've definitely fallen into a lot of that in my life too, of using it as a shield. But I do think that sometimes these things go back really early and they're either personality traits or they're really just kind of how you are as a person.
And I think that's a differentiator. I think it's important for the people listening to do the self-discovery,
Mhm.
find out where it's coming from. And that's really why I wanted to ask you where it was coming from, because we don't want to assume, right? We want to know. I will say that I have known less people that were born that way and more people that unfortunately life circumstances have done that. So I'm so glad that you brought that up for those listeners who are like, I'm born like that.
Yeah, I've
It's
struggled
not,
with it for a long time because it's like, as much as I wanna change some of those things about myself because I can take it too far, for sure, we could get into that, but I also know that I can't just change who I am overnight,
no.
and that
Right.
there is some of
Yeah.
that is a
Mhm.
superpower of mine too. Like,
Yeah.
there are parts of perfectionism that really benefit me in life. It benefited me in school, it benefits me, in being a mom, it benefits me in running a business. Like, there's some of it that is good. So when we talk about things like perfectionism or OCD, things like that, I feel like sometimes we have to realize that some of those things we just have to know how to use them. We just have to
Mhm.
know what's happening. We have to understand ourselves enough in order to pull in that superpower when we need it, and then we use it. But we have to be able to be in control enough to turn it on and to turn it off.
Yeah. And you got to be aware, we're going to do an episode where I talk about workaholism
Mhm.
as my drive. Now, it's both my innate drive. I have an innate drive that I was born with that is just part of who I am. But I also have um, external reasons to excel, right? And so we'll talk about that because the drive, I don't want to get rid of, right? But the awareness, but that drive can also hinder. So it's interesting. So you have to be aware.
Mhm.
I do want to ask you, so when you talk about not your OCD, because that's clinical, when we're talking about perfectionism, which very different, I want people to know, right?
It is. It
Different
is.
subject here that we're talking about. Perfectionism, how does it show up every day, or how did it show up every day in your work, your relationships, and or your self-images for those people who are like maybe could identify?
Yeah. So that's a really good question. And it shows up in a lot of different ways for me.
Mhm,
I think the biggest one with my work is I'm a graphic designer by trade. I'm a creative. Creative work is never done. You could nitpick a creative project until you're blue in the face. Like it could just keep going and going and going. Like
mhm,
there's never really an end to creative work. I was at a creative conference, a graphic design conference just last week, and they asked this whole panel on stage, like, what's the work you're the most proud of? And they were all like, and it's because they feel like they've not gotten all of the creative expression out. You know what I mean? Like it hasn't happened yet. And so I think just being in a creative field in general, like has driven a lot of that perfectionism because you can nitpick. I mean, shoot, I could blow up a logo so big on my screen and nitpick every little line that's in it forever. But I had to realize how to hone that a little bit and how to use it for work instead of just using it for play. And so in work, I feel like there are parts of it that are good that bring me like good energy, but you have to know when to cut it off, which is really important. But perfectionism comes in a lot of different ways. For me, a lot of it is calendar management, making sure that I'm on time to things. I'm usually early to a lot of things. That's kind of the perfectionist in me. Like I will not be the person to show up late to even like a party. Even when I meet my girlfriends, like I sit in the parking lot and I watch TikToks before I go into the restaurant because I'm like, I know I'm the first person here. I already know that answer. So definitely like in timing, that's a really big one for me. But also just in my household. And, you know, I had a friend walk into my house and I love her very dearly, but she walked into my house and was like, "If we can't all have this organized pantry, you know, like I had done it for show. And I said something back like, oh, we can't all have OCD. Like, you know what I mean? Like, sorry, that's just how my brain needs to organize it in order to feel safe within my
mhm,
space. And I feel like that's a big one in my home. I also work here. So having things put where they
mhm,
belong is not just a quirk. It is a I can't think about something else like my work if things are out of place. That's a big perfectionism tendency with mine. So definitely with work, definitely in the home life, definitely in conversations and friendships and things like that. Like if I can't show up as my best self, why am I there? That
mhm,
happens to me a lot. I have that conversation with myself a lot. Like don't commit if you can't fully commit.
mm.
Mm.
Wow. Yeah, I love that about your house though, I have to tell you. So I don't it's interesting, I just will say this. My house is always tidy, always tidy. Um, and it needs to stay tidy. For me, it's I think that people come over and they think that I'm trying to be a perfectionist or show off. It isn't. It's for me truly is safety because I grew up in such chaos. I grew up in such ridiculous chaos that my house space has to be settled
Mhm.
for me to feel settled. And
I
so
relate with that so much.
yeah, it could look like I'm trying to be a perfectionist or a show off. It isn't so. I physically can't be relaxed
Mhm,
until it's settled because my childhood was so not settled.
mhm.
So I'm like, this is in my work life, you know, in running multiple businesses and my daughter's disabilities, there's very little settled. So my house can stay settled. And so I'm lucky I'm married to a man that um is okay with it. But it can okay, but I do have to laugh with you because it can go overboard,
It
right?
can, it can.
So
So I made a rule, I think you'll like this. I made a rule that our house can be a bit in disarray, but it has to be able to be cleaned in less than 30 minutes. The
Yeah.
main parts, right? I've just decided that usually somebody's gonna give me a 30-minute heads up before they come to my house, unless it's like my best friend and then, she's welcome to all of this. But I'm okay with the kid toys being out. I'm okay with the leftover dishes, like those kind of things. I've had to learn to be okay with it. It took me a really long time, but that's my rule. I have to be able to look around and say, I think I could pick this up in 20 minutes or so, and somebody could come over in 30 minutes. And that I'm okay with. So, like those kind of things, though, I've had to really learn to put in place for myself because otherwise I would never get anything else done. I would just be putting away laundry and toddler toys all day, every day. And
Hmm.
there would be no time left in my day.
Oh my gosh, Jada and I laugh about this because I remember when Savannah was little and she is a wheelchair user and she scooch. She scooched on her bohiny a lot. Well, in our old house before we built our ADA accessible house, I had to turn an entire office space with just toys in it and space for her just to make a mess
Mhm.
because when she likes to throw. And so I had to do that to feel okay because I was like, that space can just be destroyed.
Yep. That's
It
how
can
our
just
upstairs is. I'm like, it's his. He can do whatever he wants with it. And then I have my space.
right. And I mean, yeah, because otherwise you're not living. Right. I think that that's what's important. So people who are really struggling with perfectionism or that need to have everything just perfect all the time, you're going to rob yourself of those moments with your kids. Right. I can speak for myself and ladies, you can share. Had I not given Savannah that space to make an absolute disaster of whatever she wanted, we would have been at odds, right? We would have been fighting and I would have not enjoyed her. She would have not enjoyed her experience. I would have robbed us both of so many things if that need for it to be perfect won,
Yeah. I
right?
love that you said that because just this weekend, we were up at the bar at the countertop in the kitchen, and Grayson was playing with Play Doh. And as much as he is like me, he is still a 2-year-old, right? There's still some
Yeah.
of And, I was like, "You know what? Screw it. I'm gonna let him mix the colors of Play-Doh together. He wants to. We have so much of this stuff. If I chunk it later, it's fine." And so I just sat up at the bar with him and I was like working on a project and he was playing Play-Doh and he was just mixing all I mean, it was killing me because I was like, "Oh my gosh, keep them in their containers." Like, I'm such a perfectionist that it was really bothering me, but it was like a very conscious choice that I'm like, I still need to let him be a kid and
Hmm.
I don't
Yeah.
want to, even though he's a lot like me, I don't want to push my perfectionism tendencies on him, especially at such an early age,
Hmm.
because he's already going to have so much that he has to live up to in his life. Like, let's have some time where we can mix the Play Doh
Hmm.
colors and it's fine. And mom's not
Hmm.
correcting us for it.
Hmm. I love that because what you're doing there is you're honoring the relationship more than the behavior.
Hmm.
Right. And I think that that is really important when we talk about any kind of addiction that is robbing us. We're choosing that over relationships oftentimes, even relationships with ourselves. And so I think it's really important. You just gave a beautiful example of choosing not perfectionism, but choosing experience with your son,
Hmm.
choosing his mental health, choosing relationship with him, choosing to allow him to be creative. Right? I mean, that is beautiful. So, what do you think about people that wear this perfectionism as a badge of honor? And they really celebrate it. Do you think that's destructive?
Yeah, I do think it's destructive. And I really did used to be one of them where,
Mhm.
and for good reason sometimes, right? Like I was on the honor roll at OU. I graduated salutatorian of my class. There were a lot of things that perfectionism brought me that I did wear like a badge of honor, and some of them rightfully so. But at the same time, I feel like what you were saying in the beginning about it just really being a protection, it's we're wearing that as a badge of honor because we can't say I'm a vulnerable person or I can be authentic in any room, right? Or I can just be okay with my kids being kids. Like we those things that are hard, those emotionally hard things,
Mhm.
I feel like for me especially, that's what I was running from. I was running from the emotion part of life and I was covering it up with doing things correctly, so that I could wear that badge of honor. And I absolutely do think that it's a badge of honor a lot of perfectionists should just let go of, should find a
Mm,
way to let go
yeah.
of. And it's hard. It's little bits at a time. You can't wake up one day and just decide, I'm not going to be a perfectionist anymore. But, even when I had my son, my therapist goes, oh, goody, now you get to practice. And I was like,
Love it.
oh,
I
God.
love it.
He's like, you're going to have so many little moments where you get to practice undoing some of this
Yeah.
perfectionism tendency, and it's going to
Yeah.
be so good for you. So yeah, I definitely think the badge of honor thing is something we need to let go of, because
Mhm.
if you dig deeper, I think you'll find that your values go so much deeper, and you want to you're striving for something that you can't yet communicate maybe, and once you identify it, then it's like, I don't want to wear perfectionism as a badge of honor. I want to be known for something else.
Well, the thing that gets me to that as a coach, and I see people desire the perfection to the point where it stops them in emotional quicksand.
Hmm.
They want that perfection so they don't go out of comfort zone. They don't push the envelope. They don't allow themselves to fail. And we that is part of growth.
Hmm.
And so there's for me to watch my heart breaks when I see people not live up to their potential. Now your perfectionism drove you to excel.
Hmm.
I see some people that it puts them in emotional quicksand, or they can't finish that project or they couldn't. And if you're listening to us right now, I just want you to know if you're either spectrum, right? If you're using it and you're achieving, or you're in it and it's stopping you. Both cases, let's take time and listen to what Crystal's saying, um, because both could rob you. One could rob you of joy and understanding value without performance, and the other one is stopping you from reaching knowing your true potential. And either one, right? There's issues. So I really want people to hear that. But what was your turning point? So we're talking to these people on all different spectrum here. What turn? What made you shift? Do you say I can keep, I'm not going to live like that. I'm going to take control. I'm gonna be the boss of my, car for my life here. What happened?
Yeah. So I've had chronic migraines since I was 7, which
Oh,
is really interesting to know. Some of this might have started kind of early too, and
mhm,
putting your nervous system out of whack does really weird things to your body. So I've had chronic migraines for a very long time. My husband and I decided we were ready to start trying for a baby, and we were really excited about it. So I'm talking to my neurologist about, okay, medication options and what does this look like. And I was at that point having 3 migraines a week. It was terrible. I mean, honestly, I would work and then I would crash or have to medicate so hard every evening that, like, I didn't really have a life outside of work. And I thought that a lot of that was just because I had chronic pain, and I thought I've had it since I was 7. This is my life, right? But what happened was I went to my neurologist, and he is one of the sweetest people in the entire world, but looked at me very sincerely and said, "At this state of your life, you cannot care for a newborn. That won't be possible for you, because you are in a cycle that is not breaking itself. And we've got to figure out how to fix it." And at that point, he was working with me on medication options, which I was very reluctant about because I don't love them. But it was like, something has to give, something has to change. And at that point, I thought, okay, something big has to change. Like, maybe part of it is the way I'm made up, and I need a medical intervention here, but maybe part of it too is like my lifestyle and kind of my tendencies and who I am. And so I also got a therapist, started migraine medication, and I started not too long after that neurofeedback to work on my nervous
mhm,
system. And those 3 things kind of compounded together really did unlock a lot of awareness for me. There were a lot of things that got brought up in therapy, and going back to your childhood and your natural tendencies, and like, oh, why are you obsessing over that email from that client today? Or this project, like, shouldn't we be done by then? Or, just deeper conversations about what do you want your life to be, that really like planted a lot of seeds in me to say, okay, this I've got to figure out and get a hold on just workaholism perfectionism, like all these things that are keeping me in this cycle of you work, you sleep, you work, you sleep. And I think a lot of it for me was I was scared to stop working because I didn't know when that energy would run out. Because right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
have that problem where, like, if I'm on a roll doing laundry or something at home, I just keep going and going. My husband's like, "Stop, put it away for a minute." I'm like, "I don't know, I might not feel good in 10 minutes or in 2 hours." I don't know that answer. So I think part of it was a very big protection mechanism around, like, if I just keep working or I keep doing this thing right here, I have control over it. I'm good at it, and, I don't have to fear what's on the other side. And an interesting part of this for me in particular is the biggest types of headaches that I have are called letdown migraines. So they are after big activity. So the fear of stopping is actually real because what would happen is even after any sort of big activity, I would end up with a migraine. After a vacation, I'll come home the next day and have a migraine. And people will look at me and they'll be like, "You were just on the beach last week. Like, how are you in bed today?" But that's how, I mean, the adrenaline, the cortisol drops, and there you go, you're in a migraine cycle. And so I think that there was a lot of that happening that
Mhm.
I couldn't see. And it wasn't until I really like slowed down my life enough, took care of some of the chronic pain issues, and then really just started having deep therapeutic conversations to really start to see, okay, some of this I can change. I've just got to start to identify what that looks like for me.
Wow, that is wow. Thank you for sharing that because I think that people think that they're stuck, right? That this is just who I am. This is going to be my life. In your case, I'm not going to have the capacity to be a mom. I mean, that would have robbed you of such a beautiful joy. And a gift. I mean, a beautiful gift in your life. So, wow, I hope people are listening. This is an extremely inspiring story. By the way, this is the first time I've gotten to hear this part of your story. So, I'm moved and I'm very thankful. So, when for you, for your life, and just because I got to benefit from your creativity too. So, selfishly, but when you made that choice, how did I mean? How did that I'm just thinking of you being in that space and then doing all of that work. What is your life like now?
Mm, my life is very different now. It's interesting. I can definitely fall into the same tendencies. When I
Yeah.
catch myself in a perfectionism spiral, what I tend to ask myself now is what's holding me? What am I afraid of right now? What
Mhm.
I'm obviously something's not settled, and if I, like, can't I keep going over this project again and again, and I can't just send it out the door to the client, I need to walk away. I need to protect my mental health. I need to go to yoga. I need to go do a meditation. I need to spend some more time with my son. I need to do something because I'm obsessing. I'm getting into this perfectionism tendency that I need to then step away from. But I think one of the biggest things that I was able to figure out, and I don't know that I could even verbalize like how I got there, but
Mhm.
it was really deciding what parts of my life deserve that perfectionism and what
Mhm.
parts of my life do not. And
Mm.
even now, as I grow my team and I grow my business, I'm making the conscious choices to say, this is a project that is going to be trained. I may have to pick it up and fix it later, but at this stage of this product, I need to let this team member roll with it until I can correct it. You know what I mean? And train. And it may mean that the first draft of it is not perfect, and that's okay. So, like, not holding everyone else to these weird perfectionism standards, but also deciding for myself, like the house, okay, like the dishes being out. Okay, if I can clean it up in 30 minutes, then it doesn't deserve all of my energy. Something
Mhm.
else deserves my energy that's a bigger deal to me. And I think that that is kind of how I run my life now as a perfectionist. I wouldn't say that I'm completely healed. I mean, like we it's a part of my makeup, but I now make conscious decisions. This is a time where I get to hold on to some of that because it is a superpower of mine. Like, if I'm going to go organize a room, that's where I need to be a perfectionist. If I'm going to go, hire another team member, I need to be meticulous about who they are and what they can bring to the table. But when it comes to, a Saturday agenda of what we're going to do with Grayson, like, if he, doesn't want to go to the fun thing we had planned, then that's okay. We don't have to go do that today. And I think just deciding, like,
Mhm.
really deciding, does this thing deserve that level of perfectionism?
Mm. Do you ever think through when you are making those choices, because those are conscious choices. That's an extreme ability of awareness. What you're doing is you're saying, this is how I'm wired, this is my tendency, so I will use it where it's actually fruitful, and I will not allow it to harm the things that are important to me. That is a high level of understanding. I think for our listeners, I think it's important that we go again, that you sought help
6
from,
years in therapy. I've been in therapy for
right.
6 years. Mhm.
So therapy, a neurologist, and neurofeedback. I think it's really important. I want people to hear this, and Crystal, speak to these people. The people who are out there and they are like, I don't want to shame myself. I don't want to be shamed by asking for help.
Mhm.
I don't want to be shamed by saying I need to go maybe meet with a neurologist, or I need to talk to a therapist. Those people that are feeling like your perfectionism is shameful and so you don't get the help, please talk to those people.
Yeah, I think what I've found with perfectionism and shame is we feel a lot of that shame from people's reactions. And if we start to understand why someone reacts that way, it can be life changing for you. And what I realized is that other people were reacting to my perfectionism out of a less than mentality. They
Mm,
felt that I was trying to be this perfect person and that they could never live up to that they couldn't have the pantry that has the labels on it or whatever, right? That they couldn't run the business that I'm running or that they couldn't, I don't know, keep up with the household like I can keep up with the household. This is something we talk about a lot in my marriage. And I think the reaction to it brings us shame like, am I doing something wrong? Because they had that type of reaction. But I will say, like, you have to decide the type of person that you want to be and the type of future that you want. And if
mhm.
you want your future bad enough and you have clarity around it, then you'll do whatever it takes, even if you're going to get a snide comment from a family member about, oh, so you went to therapy. I mean, still to this day, my mom will say something like, "What did you talk about? Was it me?"
It's
Like,
always the parents
I'm
are
really
always a
sorry.
problem. Yeah, come on.
So I
Jay has
think,
to go to
like,
therapy all the time because of her
yeah,
dad and I. So, it's
yeah, so you
okay.
have to decide, like, what type of person you wanna become, and if that modality, that neurologist, that therapist, that, neurofeedback, whatever you're gonna do for yourself, even going to regular yoga and it feeling to someone else like froofy self-care, which it is not, I think those kind of things, you have to make conscious decisions to say, "That's the person that I wanna be, and I'm willing to walk through a little of, like, what feels shameful to get there. But I don't
Yeah.
necessarily think that that's real shame. I think it's something that's put on us from other people by their reactions that we're reacting to in that way.
I think people who go to therapy, seek help, do self care, true self care, whatever is good for them, those are brave people.
Mm-hmm.
I want you to say that's bravery.
Yes,
Right? That is conquering, that's warrior stuff, that's bravery, that's what you need to think about that. That means you are taking charge, not allowing the shit to define you. You're going out there and you're gonna make your life what you know it's capable of being. So if you're listening to this, I love what you just said. It's not the shame is not doing the action to heal. The shame is what people are putting on you because you want to get better and maybe it makes them feel a certain kind of way, right? I
exactly.
love
And
how
I
you
think,
said
I
that.
mean, I always go back to the book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. I know it's an old one, but I think that it really just helped me understand why people have the reactions that they do sometimes. And that has helped me in more areas of my life, not just business, like in every area and interaction that I have with people, to start to understand, like, okay, that was not a great comment that I got back, but why would they have said that? And then it starts to get you to ask a little bit deeper questions in those safe spaces and then start to really understand where some of that, like, shameful interaction or like hesitant interaction is really coming from.
I love that. I haven't read that book in like a decade.
I haven't either. It's been a really long time, but
I might need to pull that one out. That is a good book,
mhm,
but I need to pull that back out because that is it's one of those classics. I
mhm.
don't think it's ever gonna lose impact.
I don't think so
It is
either.
a little bit thick like oatmeal to get through though.
Yes. A little bit.
Yeah, just a little bit. That and The Body Keeps the Score. That's another thick one like oatmeal to get through.
Mhm. Mhm.
But okay, Crystal, thank you so much for being here. Tell me one thing. You've got a whole audience on every streaming platform. Tell them one practical step they need to take today to break free from perfectionism and grab the beautiful life like yours.
Go into maybe a different tip that maybe hasn't been shared a lot, but I've
Yeah.
spent years working on my nervous system. And I think that sometimes when we are in fight or flight and when our mind can't get out of anxiety cycles and when we need help doing that, that just enhances some of these things, some of our natural tendencies that we can't seem to walk away from. And I think it did that for my perfectionism. It like went full into I have to this and this and this and this or else versus when I really got my nervous system under control, I was able to see so many things so much clearer because I didn't feel like I was in the fight of my life all day, every day. Neurofeedback did that for me. There's a lot of modalities to work on your nervous system, but I think identifying where your nervous system is and working on it is a really big step in the right direction because people may say, okay, go meditate or just let it go or just don't set a timer. I mean, like those kind of things. What happened was I was in such a cycle. You could have told me that until you were blue in the face and none of it would have worked for me. I needed actual help to get my nervous system back to calm.
I
Mm.
love that. Thank you for that advice. Do you we're gonna have to look up, Jada, some credible neurofeedback people so that we can maybe link it. Crystal, maybe you can get with Jada and talk about somebody that you would trust that we could link if because even if it's not in your area, if you're like, well, we're not in that area, a good rep this is what Jada and I learned. A good reputable person knows more good reputable people. So
Absolutely.
Mhm.
even if it's not
Definitely.
in your area, this one person may know people. There's associations, etc. They can get you in contact with, because I think that that's really important for people to explore that. I'm personally been interested in that for my husband with his PTSD.
It was life changing for me. Yeah. It took me from 3 migraines a week down to a few a month.
Wow, that's huge,
Mhm.
huge, awesome. All right, Jada, you know facts and figures.
Always. Yes. So I do have 3 statistics today that I wanted to talk through. One is a 2019 study from the Psychological Bulletin, and they found that rates of perfectionism among young people have increased by 33% since the 1980s. And a lot of that is fueled by social media and achievement culture.
Mm.
Usually I don't stop and ask our guests for feedback on this, but because Crystal, you have, such an experience with social media. What have you noticed in regards to that I just
Uh,
that statistic?
That's huge. That's huge because we're all watching everyone's highlight reel every day. So it's like we're striving to be some of these people that we see, whether that's subconsciously or not. I don't know that any of us go like, I want to be that influencer tomorrow. It's just we're watching it and we kind of think, oh, they live their life that way. I just heard a story this morning on TikTok that was somebody blowing up an influencer and saying it is only like a portion of her house that looks that way. Like the rest of it, eventually, like that she messed up and showed the camera the rest of the house or whatever. And it's, old furniture and, things that wouldn't have been her aesthetic that she's built on her profile. And I think we have to remember in the age of social media that if we're watching people's highlight reels, like maybe let's put a little, what am I trying to say? Like reality back to that to say, do we really think that that's how they live their life all day, every day? And I think that goes back to value work within ourselves to really know what we want and why we want it so that we can look at that and go, oh, that's nice for her, but I
Yeah.
don't need that.
Yeah. Yeah. So on that same topic, something that I've like really grown to respect, like whenever influencers do it, and I like love to watch them, is like the Sunday Reset series that people do because their house is typically in chaos. A lot of them have young children, and their house is typically in chaos, and by the end of it, it's clean. And I'm like, that was just so appealing to watch, but also just like kind of respectful that you showed your house in disarray before you started this because like you said, so many people just, kind of keep up that like highlight reel culture.
And
So
that is just not real. Can we all
no.
just say that? I'm an old lady. You can't live like that. I'm a
No.
what my husband calls triple A driven woman, high achiever. You
Yeah.
don't live like that.
Yeah.
Your cars get dirty. You don't make your bed sometimes. You can't
Yeah.
put all the laundry away all at the same time sometimes.
No, and whenever you have a one-year-old like I do, you put the laundry on the couch because 'cause you're laying it out, and before you get it to the closet, she throws your underwear all over the house. Like
So when you see perfectionism, by the
Yeah.
way, on social media, push a BS button. I'm telling you, push a BS button. There is not a human being on the planet that looks that pretty, that put together, their house that together, all the
Mm-mm.
perfection, their relationship that good. None of that. It's not real. It's not real. I have a
Mm-mm.
beautiful relationship with my husband, but it's messy. It's
Yep.
hard, very hard. He just came home from Bible study this morning and said, "Hey, I told all the guys that if something happened to you, I'm never getting married again because there's nothing harder than being married."
Thanks.
True. True. It's
Goodness.
but we have a great relationship. But you know what I
Yeah.
mean? There's other anyway, I just want people to hear perfectionism online BS button.
Yes.
No, it's not real. No.
No. Okay, so that was a really fun
And,
dialogue.
and
I
that's
actually
funny
really
because no one ever and now everybody knows my husband is like being married to you is so damn hard that I would never get married again. True story.
I mean, marriage is hard in general. So
It is. It is.
man, that's
All right,
hilarious.
what's next, Jada?
Okay, next is it's research in the Journal of Clinical Psychology, and their research shows that perfectionists have higher levels of anxiety, depression, eating disorders, and burnout. Chronic stress from striving for that perfect can even lead to cardiovascular disease. So I thought that that was really important. And then the last one comes from a study in the Journal of Research and Personality, and it shows that striving for healthy excellence or a growth mindset improves performance, while perfectionism actually lowers your achievement due to
Mm,
procrastination, fear of failure, and avoidance.
wow. Wow. I hope those are good, Jada. You've got some good ones this one for sure. Yeah,
Thank you.
I think I love how number 2, Crystal, goes right back to what you were talking about.
Mhm.
The health. It's emotional and physical health of your being. I mean, wow. All right, you guys, we always want to make sure that you have some rubber meets the road, which is some practical tips. Yes, we want to motivate you. We want to inspire you. We hope to give you some hope, but we want you to have some practical tips. What do I do? How do I take this and go change my life? This is where I hope if you're on a treadmill or driving that you save these so that you can write these notes down at some point. We do have our resource guide so that you can download. So Jada always has that available for you in the show notes. But I'm excited to share some of these because I like execution. I like change. So number one thing I want you guys to think about as you're going through, listen to all or nothing voice. Okay? If you hear an all or nothing voice, if that's not perfect, it's worthless. I'll do it better next time. It's not perfect. If you hear that all or nothing voice, stop. Okay? Stop yourself and I'm going to pull a line from our guest Crystal. And she said, when I am in perfectionist mode, or in this case, you're all in nothing mode, what's making you afraid? What's triggering you? What's causing it? Stop. Your body is in defense mode. Stop it. Allow your body to listen. What is going on? What do I need to process? Right? What do I need to do? Um, I like this. I don't have this as one of the tips, but I want to steal one from Crystal. In these moments, you're all or nothing and you stop. You're listening to your triggers, you're listening to your emotions. Do a pattern interrupt for your brain. Go for a walk. Go do something you enjoy. Allow your body to get away from whatever is causing you the stress so then it can process what's really going on. Do you know how many arguments in life would actually be solved if when we were triggered, we said, I need a minute and we processed? I'd like everybody on social media to hear that right now and let's all process. All or nothings don't work. So, number one. Number two, set good enough goals. Okay. So, yes, hey, you guys, I'm all about achieving. I'm all about that big, hairy, audacious goal and have that for your life. But in the milestones to creating that big life that you want, remember that in those milestones, it's messy and there's flaws and there's mistakes. And that is why they're milestones, because we learned through those steps. And remember, each one of those are good enough to get you close enough, right? And that it's okay that you make mistakes. Matter of fact, if you're not making mistakes, I would question what are you doing, right? You're not pushing the envelope. You're not allowing yourself that space to grow outside of your comfort zone. So look for good enough goals. Those milestones to create that life you want. Again, they're going to be flawless. They're going to be messy. You're going to make mistakes, and then celebrate the wins in there all the time. You guys know that, right? Celebrate those wins. Number 3, practice failing small. So if you are not, I know we talk a lot about, fail forward, learn from our failures. But if you're struggling with that, if you're struggling with perfectionism and failing is really hard for you, okay, don't go out and do something huge and do a big failure. That's going to wreck your nervous system. It's not actually going to help your psychology. What I want you to do is pick something that you can say, you know what, I'm gonna do this small thing, like let a typo go through. Leave dishes in your sink, right? Don't make your bed. I know people are like, oh, that military guy, make your bed every day. I hear him that every morning, but sometimes it just doesn't happen. You know, do something that you allow yourself imperfection, allow yourself to do something. And then don't give yourself shame, kind of celebrate it and say, hey, you know, the world didn't stop. I'm still valuable, right? And think through that. And start to teach yourself that it's okay to make mistakes and fail, and that it doesn't affect your value at all. So that'd be number 3. Number 4, shift from outcome to effort. Now, this is really important. And when I talk in my business podcast, we talk about this a lot. And that is, we track behaviors, we track results too, but we really focus on behaviors. Behaviors create results. Okay. And you can control behaviors. You can't always control results. This is the same thing here. Shift from outcome to effort. Think about, instead of what am I going to achieve out here, journal one thing that you're proud of. Think about what you're doing each day that you did well. Think about what relationships you honored well in the day. How did you honor yourself well in the day? What did you take courage with in the day? What did you do? And this is hard. What did you do when you had a triggering moment? Did you stop? Did you allow yourself to stop? When you needed to take that time, did you do it? Those are things to celebrate, and make sure that you're tracking the shift from outcome to effort. What are my efforts? What am I doing in order to enjoy my days and not my days control me all the time? Okay. So those are just 4 easy things for you guys to, I say easy. They're to pick one of them, right? You don't have to do them all. This is not about being perfect. I'm going to go do them all right now. Pick one, and go make a difference. And remember, please, perfectionism, if I can say it, promises peace, but it delivers prison. Okay. Think about that. Real freedom isn't found in flawlessness. It's found in being human. Be messy, be honest, be brave. You don't need to earn your worth. Okay? You already have it. You already have it. So thank you so much for your vulnerability today, Crystal, and being with us. It means a lot to me, and I hope this is impactful for people. Jada, how do people connect with our amazing friend here, both professionally and maybe personally?
Yeah, great question, Crystal. How do people get connected with you?
I would love to share that. So, professionally, everything is listed on our website. You can find how to contact us. There's free resources for small business owners when it comes to their marketing. I have a whole masterclass that covers our proprietary 5-phase framework. So, I'd love for you to watch it. It's free to watch. That's oakscreativehouse.com. It's OAKES, creativehouse.com. Personally, I'm on Facebook more than any other platform. platform. I don't know, maybe it's my age. But if anyone wants to friend me and have a conversation about, chronic pain, perfectionism, anything like that, I always welcome conversations like that. I wish that I would have had more resources as I was getting started of just people to talk to. So I'm always an open book when it comes to that. My DMs are always open.
That's awesome. Thank you,
Awesome.
Crystal.
Yes, thank you, Crystal. And I'll make sure to link your website. I'm assuming your Facebook is on your website as well.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. I'll make sure to link that then. And then I'm also going to link the book that we talked about, How to Win Friends and Influence People. So I'll make sure that that is in the show notes. But honestly, if this conversation spoke to you, please subscribe, share this episode with someone else who may need it, and leave us a review. Also, don't forget Athena's book is coming soon, so we'll make sure that that list to get on it is in the show notes as well, so you can get early access for discounts, bonuses. Again, that link will be in the show notes. But to end this is not your practice life, so don't wait for perfection. Start messy, start scared, just start, because nothing's going to change until you do. So we'll be here standing with you every step of the way. We'll see you next week.
Bye, everybody. Thank you so much.